important. The opinions expressed in this video are the interviewee's own and do not necessarily reflect the view of Stakeholders Limited, trading as Earth Capital. This interview, like our service, is not advice. The investments described are high risk and illiquid. Stakeholders Limited is an appointed representative of Palace Ventures Limited, which is authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, FRN 433291.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our 6th episode of Sustainable Conversations hosted by Air Capital. My name is Salvatore D'Urso, Director at Air Capital. We are a corporate advisory firm providing fundraising, M&A, and fractional CFO services to innovative, SDG-driven businesses. Our guest today is Joeri, the CEO of Opus Cactus. And Joeri, thank you for being here. And without further ado, let's dive in. And could you introduce yourself and tell us the story of Opus Cactus, the problem you're trying to solve?
Fair enough. Thank you, Sal. We already know each other for quite a bit already, the past months. Enjoying working with you and showing you what we do at Opus. I'm the CEO of Opus Cactus. Opus Cactus originated actually as an idea sprouted in Mexico, where the co-founders noticed a farm driving its tractors on the biogas produced by cactus. So that idea, looking at the arid conditions under which these cactus thrive, they brought that idea to South Africa now and transferred that idea many months later. Back in 2022, to be exact, a Dutch investor came on board. And from that moment on, we actually had the luxury to deep dive into this relatively unknown plant and the possibilities that it has in transforming, if you will, or terraforming, as it's sometimes called, marginal lands, as we call them in Europe, or more rather semi-arid to arid regions, which are quite abundant on the globe. I mean, just looking at the Earth itself, I mean, 41% is semi-arid area of the land mass. Only 45% of that semi-arid area is designated as farmland. However, there are not many crops out there that actually thrive or let alone grow in under these conditions with the amount of rainfall. Now, looking at climate change as well, those regions are expanding, and they're expanding even into southern Europe. If you look at desertification. But having said that, last year, my background is actually more of an IT background. I sold my shares and I wanted to do something more sustainable with my life. Having the skill set that I have, I joined Opus Cactus and structured it from the Netherlands. So we're a Dutch company now with obviously a very large South African operation and a massive, under Dutch circumstances, extremely massive research center and a nursery farm in Bloemfontein, South Africa.
Thank you, Joeri. Let's move on to scaling a business. As we know, it's always problematic and it comes with challenges. I suppose my question is, what are the biggest hurdles in Opus Cactus growth journey so far, and how have you overcome them?
We are overcoming them. Actually, we're still doing that now. Every day is a new surprise, if you will, especially dealing with a plant that has not been researched properly over the past decades. All the research you need to do yourself. And one of the key elements in what we do on a daily basis with the team here and in South Africa as well is maintaining focus, or trying to maintain focus. There are many valorization paths that are promising, but you need to stick to what you know, and the quickest route to actually being able to scale at the level that we want to. Having said that, seeing this question yesterday already, it reminded me of a moment in time last year when we had the entire team here in the Netherlands. And I mentioned the fact that the biggest hurdle for us is actually time. Because everything what we do, dealing with a plant needs to grow. It's time. So our biggest enemy, and if you will, if you want to see it like that, is actually time. And that's our biggest constraint. We never have enough time. And when it comes down to the propagation of this plant, we never have enough time. When we have enough time, the weather conditions probably change and we won't have enough time again. So that's a continuous hurdle that we have on a daily basis that we're dealing with properly. That's why we're progressing. And I think that's the first instance I had, and the first thought I had when seeing this question. It's actually time, and it's not necessarily funding. Funding obviously is an important factor, having a money flow coming in at the level we're at. This is all long-term, high capex investments. So we have the luxury of having good angel investors on board, but still, time is the constraining factor in everything we do. The solutions we offer, if you take biogas production, for example, specifically in South African setting, there's a time constraint there. First of all, South Africa has a gas cliff looming. That's by 2028. However, it takes time to set up a large biogas installation and plantation. It takes 2 years to establish the plantation, and the same way, 2 years to build the actual plant. So first operations, if you start now, will be at the earliest possibility end of 2027. So that again is time. So time is a factor that we deal with on a daily basis.
Thank you. And I think if I can add, I think Opus Cactus is in a great position as a pioneering, right? I don't think you have many competitors. So during the years, I know you spent a lot of time and effort on R&D. That means also exploring how to apply the cactus mass to various industries, and that will give, in the long run, also many additional possibilities and revenue stream. And since we're talking about R&D, my next question is about innovation. And the innovation, as we all know, is central to our work. And how do you foster creativity and experimentation within your team?
Well, it's an interesting question, especially understanding what we do. I mean, this plant is only propagated globally for mainly fruit production and some cattle fodder. So everything we do on this plant is trying to innovate the new possible valorization pathways. In order to be able to do so, you need to first, it actually starts with selecting the right people to be able to do the job. They need to have an open mindset. And that's the first bit. Second bit, how to actually propagate, if you will, that mindset, is actually having active conversations with your team continuously, trying to think out of the box. We have many bridges to cross. Like I mentioned before, time is one of the bigger bridges. So think out of the box. How can we get to solutions or to new insights quickly? We have the luxury of a plant that has not been researched properly and has a lot of valorization pathways. Therefore, it's quite easy to actually look forward. Oh, this is also possible. This is also possible. However, maintaining focus is also a key element in this. And then also drawing back to the hurdle rate. Looking at the design of a biogas plant, I mean, we're dealing with a whole new setup, if you will. We're using existing tech, but adapting that. Looking at a high density biomass farming of this plant. There is no actual tech out there that supports the biomass farming. Now, that's tech that needs to be designed. So looking at the people that we have on board, and I'm quite pleased with having these people on board. If you look at the farm level, at the lab level here in the Netherlands, we all are very creative and innovative. I can give an example of the lab itself. We set up the lab lean and mean using older technologies in the lab. However, our lab technician is quite handy, and he actually digitized all the lab equipment. So that's a part of innovation that we actually stimulate. So what are new ideas? How can we extract the data that we find relevant? Also looking at the farm level, we need to design how to propagate this. So what instruments could be used or adapted to make it more efficient? And we have, well, by far the only one I have the experience to do this at large industrial scale. So that's how we tend to do it, and it's a lot of thinking out of the box, to be honest, and having the right people is also important.
Yeah, it is important, and I think it's very important also to highlight the fact that you add impact. You impact the social values as well, because you create jobs, especially in South Africa. You plan to expand in other part of the Middle East, in Africa as well, in Southern Europe. But this will always create jobs opportunities, and it's very important also that the social impact within the SDG UN goals. And I guess my next question is about sustainability. Opus Cactus is sustainable by definition, but it's also important that, as we know, sustainability and resilience are top priorities today. But how does, in reality, Opus Cactus integrate those principles into its business model and long-term strategy?
It's actually an interesting question. Unlike many other companies, like you've already mentioned, we as such, we don't have to be on the lookout to become sustainable. We, in essence, are on what we do. We look at creating economic hubs in areas which are currently not economically viable. So we offer for local communities that often depend on, for instance, mining as a solution. We offer an economic outlook by being able to farm those marginal lands. So that element is quite easy to find. But how do you show this? How do you indicate this? And that's also a reason why we've applied for the B Corp certification, because it actually gives us a stamp, and B Corp, unlike other frameworks, actually demands of you to alter your company statutes to take into account the sustainability angle, the environmental angle, the community angle. Now, looking in the future and what we do, currently we're still researching this plant and propagating this plant, understanding the metrics involved. But if you look forward in time, and I think the next question is also about the future, but so I'm going to quick leap on that. But if you look forward in time, we actually look at a outgrower model to partially supply our required biomass for all the different valorization paths.
That's actually, thank you, because you touched base on the next question. But before we move there, I just wanted to highlight the fact that it's very important really to demonstrate sustainability, and not only as we said by definition being sustainable, but actually on the day-to-day, and exploring new ways of doing business as well, and incorporating sustainability in the day-to-day at work, but also in the personal life. And if I want to also to add that at Capital, we developed a tool, a dividend model, and we are in the process of improving the tool. And it's really, as you mentioned, we want to measure performance and enhance performance in terms of impact of the business in the environment. Okay, let's move on to the last question of today. And in fact, looking ahead, looking at the future, looking at the next 5 years, what exciting developments or projects on the horizon, and what impact do you hope Opus Cactus will achieve on the next 5 years?
No, clearly, let me kick off with the relatively short term. I mean, if we talk short term, we're talking 2 years. The key element projects that we're considering right now is actually scaling into full-blown biogas production, doing 0.5 petajoule modules. We made a modular system that actually vertically integrates biogas production on the plantation. 0.5 being equal to 12,000 European households equivalent, if you look at the gas consumption. But also it's 1,600 cubes of gas. Now, that project in South Africa with a gas cliff has the outlook of coming into operation at the end of 2027. So that's a major factor right there on the relatively short term. But from a future point of view, as Opus, we're a sustainable biotech firm. So we like to valorize our commodity or our plant as much as possible. So our future vision actually is built on a cascading biorefinery concept in marginal lands or in semi-arid conditions, offering new opportunities to local communities, which are currently not there. We also combat climate change. We combat desertification by setting up plantations with the Opus Cactus. That cascading biorefinery will extract the value first, and then to consider for instance, the antioxidants, but also exosomes, like extracellular vesicles, as they're called now, which are currently extracted from mammalian stem cells. That is a glooming opportunity as well. We have a research partner at the University Medical Center here, but also an industrial scale pharma company that is willing to support us on that. So cascading, meaning first extracting valuable nutrients, and then as a waste stream, the remaining biomass will actually be returned to biogas production, and that biogas is additional valorization as well, and the digestate coming back to the farm containing some of the NPK still makes it actually circular on what we do. So that's the vision for 2030.
Okay, that's great. I think as I said earlier, I think it's Opus Cactus has got this luxury, if you want to say luxury, of being in a pioneer, first mover. I know it takes time, as we discussed earlier on, a lot of resources, and thankfully you got the backing of angel investors, and that's great news. But we wish Opus Cactus to continue the research and development, and to continue really to make the world sustainable. Joeri, that concludes today's episode of Sustainable Conversations. I wanted to really thank you for being our guest today, and I wish on behalf of Air Capital, best of luck to you and Opus Cactus. And yes, see you on the next episode.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be part of this. So,
recorded October 2025. Important. This video is directed at, and intended only to be used by, persons in the UK who can self-certify as high net worth or sophisticated investors. The information in this video should not be construed as investment or tax advice, nor a personal recommendation. You should not make or refrain from making any decisions based solely on the content of this video. If you're unsure an investment is right for you, please seek professional advice. The investment products discussed are not for everyone. They are generally higher risk, less liquid, and require a longer investment term. You may get back less than you invest. It is therefore important that you understand the risks before investing. Tax benefits depend on circumstances, and tax rules can change. Past performance is not a guide to the future. Where past performance is mentioned, annual performance data can be provided by Earth Capital on request. Stakeholders Limited, trading as Earth Capital, is an appointed representative of Palace Ventures Limited, which is authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority, FRN 433291.